happens.
Unstable. Like,
All right, here we go. So, hey, everybody. My name is Jared Malott,
my name is Mateo Caliz.
and this is the Coltist, episode 15. We're calling this the LaVon Brazill episode.
Yeah, we were talking like right before we start recording about like random Colts game of the past. Like you remember, I don't know if any of you remember the 2013 season, I believe it was, against the Bengals in Cincinnati, where LaVon Brazill scored 2 touchdowns, and one it was like a really big play where he like broke like 4 tackles.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the stuff we were remembering about that game is that the Colts were basically screwed over by a blown call where Ben Jarvis Green Ellis fumbled the ball in the 1 yard line, and the refs called him down by contact. So yeah, basically refs have been screwing the Colts ever since I have a memory.
I was gonna
Ever
say,
since I
how
remember
old is
watching
that? How
football,
old is
this
that
happened.
memory? So that how old were you when like that? You had to be like
Yeah,
10,
14.
14? Okay.
No, I was 14. Yeah. I was 14 when that happened. And the very first, no, I remember like the oldest 2 things I remember is like the Chiefs game, where I basically like turned off the TV when we were down 38-10 and went to my room and was just like so frustrated, like almost to the point of crying.
Right.
And 15 minutes later, checking the score on my phone, seeing like 38, and just be like, this can't be right. This has to be like a glitch or a bug, something like that.
It's a Madden
Then
glitch.
going back down, turning on the TV again, watching. Fuck, how
Yeah.
the hell did this happen? That and the refs screwing us in that game, in that Bengals game, and that Bengals team was good.
Well, that was one of the things there
Those
for
were
a
like,
few years. The Bengals had a super competitive roster and just didn't have the quarterback to kind of get them over the top, which
yeah,
is sort of the story
I
of
mean
the NFL. I mean,
they had AJ Green, Atkins.
right?
They had, I remember like Taylor Mays was on that team, I believe. He was one
Oh,
of the
so
Taylor Mays.
who's the Cincy running back that just recently kind of declined, but had been super productive? Not Joe Mixon. It was the guy that was like behind Joe Mixon who
Yeah,
had
Gio Bernard
Gio.
He shared a backfield with another guy. Shit, I can't remember his name now, but I remember it was Gio Bernard and
Mhm. Gio Bernard, Joe Mixon. I mean, I
like,
like him now. It's just like we were talking
yeah,
about
but it
before.
was there was another back that played for the Bengals that
Oh, really?
Bengals. Yeah, it was Gio Bernard, and I remember like there was someone else like I can't remember.
Bengals running backs.
Yeah,
For a coworker of
one like
mine's boyfriend's a huge
2017.
Bengals fan. Uh, and I
Not Rex Burkhead.
no, not Rex Burkhead.
Nah, I can't remember, man. But might be wrong though. But I
Just look up top Cincinnati Bengal running backs. And I guarantee you, Corey Dillon, Cedric Benson,
yeah, Cedric Ben. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, that was
Ceddy Ben.
before. Yeah, that was before Gio Bernard. But yeah, that's the player I was thinking about. Yeah, that's
Oh,
one.
yeah.
I know Jeremy Hill. Not Jeremy Hill. That's the guy.
Garrison
He had like
Hurst.
a really good. Yeah, he had like a really good season. Like I believe he had like one good year.
Mhm.
Yeah, this one. 2015, yeah. 11 touchdowns. Yeah, I remember that guy.
So yeah, it's kind of how we've decided to title
You
our
ever,
episodes is, if we could find a famous Colt that we have a solid memory of. It just so happened to be LaVon Brazill this week. So, hey, Mateo.
yeah. Wait.
Go
So
ahead.
I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna record next week because of the bye week, but number 16 should be you remember this guy. You remember what is it like Derrick or the Rick Rogers, the receiver?
Yeah.
That he had like the big catch in the Chiefs game, like the one-handed catch where he goes up and just between 3 defenders to like spark the rally. You remember that guy?
Mm-hmm.
That was my first Colts favorite player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching him. His like highlight tape from, I believe he was from either Tennessee or Texas. Because sorry, I believe it's Tennessee. Let me look it up. But I'm mostly sure it's Tennessee because he was like orange. If I remember correct, he was, and I just, those bottom of the depth chart guys that you just like fall in love with.
Yeah, like Ashton
Yeah,
Doolin.
Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah, he played at Tennessee and Tennessee Tech. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like those random flashbacks, like to
Mm-hmm.
some players. Like,
Hell yeah. So talk about a
damn.
wild weekend of football. So sort of get down to business, shall we? The Colts
Yeah,
come off a first road shutout since I believe 1992, like week 6, 92
yeah,
is I think what I read and went
yeah,
and looked at that result. So yeah, for the record, Colts defenders and coordinators and coaches have been getting shit on all year in side conversations that I've had with people. The chief complaint from Colts fans to like other Colts fans is Frank Reich's play calling,
yeah,
stupid mistakes, stuff like that. It's sort of the general gripe outside of when the defense is healthy. So when its best players are healthy and all full speed, the Eberflus system looks pretty good, putting up a
yeah,
shutout. But again, I think that's the gripe that I'll always have as someone who I will refuse to call myself a coach, but I have coached. I do feel like your game plan should change based on their personnel to a degree. You sort of have to decide, I believe, who you're going to try to, if you're the offense, who's your bell cows, who are your consistent contributors. For the Colts,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously have what appears to me to be
JD,
the best offensive weapons they've had since probably 2014, I believe end of the Reggie Wayne era.
yeah,
Because
yeah. When we
2013,
had,
2014.
yeah,
Um,
Kobe
so
Fleener, Dwayne Allen, Ty had no running backs, but the receivers and the Titans were amazing. Yeah,
so yeah, so the Colts, obviously you have to start by saying Jonathan Taylor flat out wins you football games, and also Carson Wentz does not lose you football games. So uh, that is a recipe that if you can protect those things, offensive line, and protect the lead defense, and then not do stupid shit to give up field position, special
on
teams.
special teams. Yeah, Naheem
Uh,
Hines.
one of the things that we were sort of talking about is after, again, I don't want to overhype a win, but one of the things that I enjoyed was how fast that game went by, how the Colts put up points in every quarter. It was a 4-quarter effort, right? And that was sort of the thing that we'd harped on, that even in these prior wins, certain players were a step slow. Eric Fisher's still getting beat. But outside
Yeah,
of Eric Fisher trying to unfuck his situation, which I honestly believe it's a shit or get off the pot thing, where it's like either he's getting better every day and those sorts of him getting railroaded is gonna stop at some fucking point, right?
yeah. I
Or
don't think it is. Yeah,
I don't know that is, and I'm sorry for the record if Eric Fisher ever hears this, bro. It's not that deep. Like, you're just coming off an Achilles. This is life. You're not the same animal. Um, it Other than that, which I legitimately think is gonna keep you from winning a Super Bowl. So let's just kind of throw that out there, that like you gotta have that end sewed up. It's just kind of the thing. Um, and when you're gonna allow those pressures to his backside, he's gonna cough up the ball. Uh, and
yeah.
that's even worse.
Allow that fumble. Yeah,
It's worse when they hit the quarterback and knock the ball out of his hand than it is when he throws an interception. Because at least if he throws an interception, there's a chance that
yeah,
it puts you in not great field position. But when the quarterback gives up the ball where he's standing, every time they're in good field position, and momentum is such a big deal. In my opinion, playing with momentum is the most spoken about thing in football, and the most discredited, by the way, by people who read way too far into the numbers.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
agree with you on that one. Yeah, I have,
but
I actually like had an argument with Troy on that one.
right,
Like, yeah, I was saying that you can't underestimate the impact of momentum. And he was like, no, because here are the numbers, and after an interception, teams are like the same likelihood to score a touchdown. And I was like, yeah, perhaps the numbers tell that, but watching the games, you just know that. For example,
right,
the Colts back game, where Shaq Barrett gets the strip sack,
right,
and you could tell that, that the backs were boom back in it, and the Colts were shell shocked.
right. And with the way the Colts finally did it how you wanted them to do it, they ran the damn ball. Jonathan Taylor had 32 carries for
Yeah,
143
32
yards and two
carries. Yeah,
touchdowns. And I think it's probably the best thing to be doing to say, and I'm saying this with my chest, he's having the best season I've ever seen a running back have. There's some times where he just goes untouched, and it's like a long run. And he also makes the tough runs, and he's also catching the football. So it's not like he's just like, oh, you know what I mean? And the thing about it is, he doesn't need to do the little herky jerky shit. He can just get you yards.
yeah,
He's a smart, patient running back. He reminds me a lot of, for the record, himself in fucking college. So let's be real about that. He was super. One of the things that I loved when I watched him in college is he was so good in college that he had these long runs where he just stepped out of bounds
yeah,
and completely clean. He just got to a point where he no longer had the angle for the touchdown and realized, rather than let that dude unload on me, ball to the
yeah. Just
official.
get out of
And
bounds.
you're
Yeah,
like, he just kept miles on his tire, years on his life. And that's ultimately what you want to see a smart football player do, is play for a long damn time at a high damn level. And I feel like
yeah,
Jonathan Taylor plays this game the way he's going to be playing it for a long friggin' time,
yeah. You
if
ever
he
get like,
stays healthy.
that he got like 32 carries, but you start looking at the way he goes down, and it's not like he's getting like
Late
fucking
on.
belted by a
No,
linebacker where you say, oh shit, that's gonna hurt. It's just like they grab him and just like stop him, and he goes down, and you're like, yeah, I easily believe that he could take like 300 of those a year easy.
right.
This guy is like a superstar athlete, once in a generation type guy.
Yep.
But yeah, that's
And he
just
and he, and
risky.
he, and he fell to the Colts for the reasons that I'm lauding him for. He had a lot of touches in college, and I understand again. And this is going back toward what we were just talking about leaning too much into these numbers and saying, "Oh, this guy has all these carries, all these touches, like he's got all these miles on his tires." And like I said, as somebody who actually watches football, like intently, with the volume off, watch this, reading captions, actually watching what's going on in the game. I could have told you when he was in college he was going to be a great back in the NFL because he was smart and patient, and his uniform was clean. He's a running back. He plays in Wisconsin. He's supposed to be dirty and beat
Yeah,
up and bruised and back. No, he was in a track meet out of a power eye. What? He's like it's like he's an Olympic gymnast, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how
We
I
have,
see
yeah,
him. He is like a Olympic gymnast sprinter. That's what he's so nimble and smart, and then straight line speed, unquestioned, dude. He's running away from people. And I get it. We're talking about the Texans, so it's sort of like saying beating up your little
yeah.
sister, right?
You have to take it like, yeah, with a grain of salt, but
Right. Kind of gotta. Houston is among the worst run professional sports organizations on earth. Let's just kind of get that
yeah,
out of the
probably
way.
like in
Um,
sports history, yeah.
might be worst all time. But yeah, again, a lot of people seem to misunderstand English when I say Carson Wentz didn't have to go out and win you this game. He was 16 for 22, which is, I want to say, like 73 some odd percent, for 158 yards and a touchdown. It was sacked once. when you're running the ball like you're running it, averaging 5 yards a carry, the Colts ran the ball 48 times. They basically had 50 carries.
Yeah.
There are entire NFL teams. For the record, I don't believe our opponent had 50 total plays, and the Colts ran the ball 50 times. That tells you how. For the
Yeah.
record, I'm a firm believer of the more plays that you run, the more points you score. But I also believe there's a difference between trying to go 1-2-1 and there is 1-2-3-1, and you know what I mean. Like there's different gears to
Yeah.
offenses and things like that. There's tempo too. That's one of the things. I play Magic the Gathering, and I'm competitive in like everything I do. Right. So at some point when you play Magic the Gathering competitively, there comes along this conversation about archetypes. So I want to talk this about you because I feel like you'll think, oh, it's fucking cool, right? So in
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering, basically Magic the Gathering is a fantasy card game where the formats that I like to play, standard, modern, legacy, like Eternal. I love the draft. I love to do sealed. I just love Magic in general because it came out when I was a elementary school kid and nobody else liked it. And who doesn't like being the lone wolf that likes the only thing? So I never really played Magic until I came
Yeah.
home from the Marine Corps. And when I came home from the Marine Corps, I realized I was going to drink myself to death, or I needed to get myself a hobby. And I chose Magic. But Magic has archetypes:
Yeah. So yeah, basically it was.
tempo, control, aggro, right? These terms that I'm using to describe a foreign concept to I'm guessing you probably aren't like a super big like Magic
Yeah.
fan, because you would have probably told me like, hey, I love Magic Gathering, because
Nah. Yeah.
everyone that
I like was aware of its existence, but I never got a chance to play it. Yeah.
um and the reason that you didn't is because Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes that game, doesn't know how to treat its professional community. So they lie to them, fail to pay them. They're basically like run like the Houston Texans. But they put out a product like the New England Patriots, which is absolutely wonderful, and has multiple flavors and it fits everybody. But the reason I brought up Magic is because football has those same sorts of terms bandied about that have the same sort of flow. For example, aggro. I've brought this up before, but briefly was a part of this Soldiers for Sidelines, which is a program aimed at getting veterans on NFL sidelines. And I sat in a meeting, and it's not like this wasn't public access. I just sat in a Zoom call with multiple reporters watching a Nick Saban end of year press conference. And what he described after the end of last season, he sat down and they asked him how he felt, and he said he felt like he should be fired. And of course, this is Nick Saban. He's basically a god. And he's saying, I have failed to adapt. And my failure to adapt is going to cost my team 2 losses a year. And it's because we're not aggressive enough on offense. And he said, for the whole time I've been a coach for for Alabama, I've the Crimson Tide. I've predicated our offense on ball control, run the ball, don't make mistakes, special teams, defense, and then test them vertically when they present an option to do so. And we've done that effectively for 20 fucking years and won many titles. So it's not like he's bad at all. He's basically a lock for a college football playoff spot every year. But he says, here's the problem. You can't out athlete your opponent forever. Eventually, attrition happens and it's a more even playing field. And you're like, okay. And then he says, so in addition to it being a more even playing field, my opponents are becoming better at playing defense. Why? Because they're on my staff. They leave and get head coaching jobs at other schools, and they've been on our meetings, so they know what to do and how to coach other players. And he says, so now, at least defensively, teams are matching us, and on offense, they play at a breakneck speed. And they're rushing to the line of scrimmage. They're trying to catch us off sides so they can get a free play, throw the ball downfield, score real quick, put it back on their defense, which is really good, which is like good strategy. If you could score the ball regularly, play really good defense, not fuck up on special teams, you're gonna blow people the fuck out. Because that's sort of the whole goal in football is to score on offense, prevent the opponent from scoring on defense, and not do dumb shit on special teams like holy shit.
Don't fuck up, yeah.
Right. And for some reason, that's like those three phenomena are like lost on the bulk of fucking football teams. Let's be serious. Over half of all football teams are below 500. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And they can't even do this shit. Well, Nick Saban laid it out for the earth. And he said, here's what I think. You ought to see if you can run on us. You ought to see if you can throw on us. And you ought to see if you can fucking score on us. Because if you don't, we're going to march the ball down the field, take 9 minutes off the clock, and kick a fucking field goal and beat your bitch ass 3-0. And I don't have a and he said, I don't have a problem winning every game ever 3-0 if you ain't going to take a shot. If you're not going to try to score and score quick, I'm going to take the ball from you. I'm going to march down the field on you. And I don't care if I kick a fucking field goal. We're putting points on the board every possession. And I only need 4 or 5 of those a game, probably putting up about 31 points. My defense doesn't allow over 20 points. That's Nick Saban. That's what he's saying. And he's saying that strategy now loses 2 games a year. And he said, that's on me. Yeah. My failure to adapt. I recruit the same fucking kids I was recruiting 10 years ago because I do it the way I want. And he's talking about how my ego is failing me because I'm doing it my way. My failure to adapt is costing my program. And he's the most successful football coach in fucking history, literally putting himself on the cross and saying, like, I need to do something on offense so that this program can maintain its dominance. And after he said that, I just like, I want to coach football. Like, I want to coach football.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Who does not want to coach football after they hear Nick Saban, the greatest coach of all time, lower himself to his opponent and say, I have been outplayed and I need to get better. I need to get the fuck out. It's inspirational to anyone, I think, but obviously I was probably the only person in that room who wasn't just okay being a journalist, right? And didn't have other, like, I want to do something other than like write, you know? So we kind of talked about the Colts game last week against the Texans on the road. Obviously, again, big road win, first shutout since like 1992. Anytime you have, and I don't know about anybody else, but when I fly, I get jet lag for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then it can have a profound negative impact for a lot of people for days at a time. That and elevation change, which is why Denver wins such a high percentage of its games at home. Is because of the elevation change. So one of the things.
We have the same here
in Argentina,
in South America. We have the Bolivian football teams where they play like 2 miles above sea level. And you see players like
can't even take a full breath, huh?
Like like the tallest team I believe is like 2.7 miles above sea level in the heights of La Paz.
La Paz.
It's like terrible.
But it's probably like awesome to go watch a soccer game there, right?
No, it's because like Bolivian players like are already used to it, so they are like running like as if
normal.
Yeah, and you see like probably like really like not like unathletic players, players that normally like are able to run the 90 minutes.
Yeah,
15 minutes pass and they're like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like, so yeah, we know how it feels. Yeah.
So yeah, one of the things that I wanted to point out there in that game was guys like Deion Jackson and Sam Ehlinger got run, and I think that among blowing someone out on the road and getting a shutout on the road is putting in your backups and giving them the ball. And I get it. He had 6 carries for 19 yards. It wasn't like he blew anyone away, but I liked
but he had
the little tutter and the action out of Deion. And it just feels good. It feels good to see that. It's kind of like playing poker and you have the 4 of a kind, but you also paired the board, you know what I mean? Like, so you won and then some. So yeah, that's sort of how it felt on Sunday. Was like, him too.
Yeah, it was.
That,
Yeah, it was. It was a good win, but I hate to be like that guy, but I got the same feeling like we had after the Jets win.
mhm.
That on Thursday night, like I had the feeling like this would be just so much sweeter had we beat the Bucks.
Oh,
So we went
absolutely.
to the bye, 8-5, just beat Tom Brady. Shout out Texans in a good place.
I think it
Just
is.
that
I think
that
it is
feeling
worth
was
pointing out that loss against Tampa. While I get what you're saying, I'm not trying to discount it. All I'm saying is it hurts a lot less because it's out of the conference. It doesn't.
Yeah,
I feel like the Colts pushed the defending world champion and forced them to put up more than 31 points to beat them. And I get it that on the back of a road shutout, which to me feels like the defense showed up the week prior, they got showed up, right?
yeah,
So I think that it. I heard and read that Darius Leonard said last week was the first time that he's felt full speed all year. I can't tell you. I have not watched the game more than once. Um, if he looked it, but Kenny Moore is all pro. Darius Leonard,
yeah,
I feel like has his best football this year ahead of him, and has also been just damn dynamic, man. Like forcing turnovers. I mean,
yeah, yeah. He's
it's the
been, yeah,
hallmark of all pro, Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame linebacker. Honestly believe if he stays healthy and continues to do this like he does it, man, he straight up what he does is he does it correct, where he is in the correct spot, broken down, prepared to make the tackle, and then he realizes that the back isn't looking at him. And that if he can get his fist at this perfect angle, there's no way the back sees the hand until it's
yeah.
past
It's
his
just like
face.
yeah,
And it's like a
that's
spider.
the
And you're like,
coolest.
shit, it's like he
His spinach
stung
punch,
him.
his
Yeah.
spinach punch is
Yeah.
like I put it like right next to like the Robert Martin's strip sack, like in
Yeah.
the most iconic Colts defense plays,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
where he just like he's gonna do it, but
Eh,
you can't stop him.
right.
It's like the
And
Messi like
you know
those.
why he's so good at this? Because he's very long and athletic. So he's hard to block. And when he gets off the block and he's sitting in the pocket ready to make this tackle, the back knows he's a good tackler too. So I kind of got to curl up on this ball. Like I got to put two hands on it and they're going to go like this. They always do. They tuck their head down and away. They tuck the ball, they're prepared to go down. And they're basically like the horse that's losing its footing, falling forward, right? Just trying to crawl as far forward
Yeah,
as they can. And I'm telling you, he becomes like a boxer in the moment where he realizes if that ball just bubbles just a little bit, I could punch that bitch out. And it's so fucking crazy to talk about it because it took so long to get there and it happened in a heartbeat. It's cool as fuck to see happen on a regular basis. And I got to say the
it
same thing
was, yeah.
about Kenny Dan Moore, and he gets his own love, but man, Kenny is so fun to watch because he's a little guy, and I think he's inspiring to people that are a little undersized. Man, it's
Yeah,
all work.
he's what?
It's
He's
all
like
work.
5'8", five
Yeah,
nine,
he's a real small. He's
five
a
nine, right? Yeah,
real fault. I
something
mean,
like that. Yeah,
think about this. One of the reasons that not everyone on earth knows who Kenny Moore is because of his height. If Kenny Moore was 6 feet tall, he'd be the best corner in the NFL. It's not even fucking close. Not even close. His ball instincts are insane. He's forced to play nickel because of his size. He would be a number one starting corner if he was taller. And I get it. No shit, Jared. If he's the same fucking athlete and 3 inches taller, no shit, he'd be the number one wide receiver too.
yeah.
Sure. But what I'm saying is like he's 5'9". So what you have to do, because he's such a good football player, is you have to find ways to use him. And that's part of the Colts problem. And I get it. It's sort of bittersweet to say in one breath, he's played so well. He's clearly a fucking Pro Bowler in my eyes. The other thing about that is that it's sort of or I guess it's more of a double-edged sword, right? Where I think that's part of the defense's problem is that while Kenny Moore is really dynamic and Darius Leonard is obviously, I think more Darius Leonard has been injured. Kenny Moore, though, because of his size, speed, and playmaking ability, you kind of have to use him more like you would a queen in a game of chess. where
Yeah.
you use the queen to snipe. I feel like that's what they use Kenny as. They use Darius Leonard and Okereke as your rooks to try to take out the traveling pieces. But I'm telling you, if this Colts defense stays healthy and continue to, I think it's fair to say that they have to continue to get better within the system because they're still getting beat. The the thing that they get to take away from this game is, first, you took the opposing quarterback out of the game, so they had to put in another guy, and neither of them did much on offense. But more importantly, the Houston Texans didn't get to just give the ball to Cooks like 100 times on you, which is what Deshaun Watson and the Texans have done to the Colts with Hopkins and Andre Johnson before that. You know what I mean? Like, so for my money, one of the closing thoughts on that game was, it was nice that even though we shut them out, no one had a big day for them on offense. And I feel like it's been a long time since we said that too, where you didn't also just let their number one guy go to town on you. You know what I mean? And I remember we were having that conversation in the Slack chat where somebody mentioned all the, their wide receivers are trash. And I was like, it doesn't matter. The tight ends are going to eat. Fortunately for us, the Colts played outstanding defense. Okay, like that's going to happen against a poorly run organization. It clearly didn't happen the week prior. And then obviously we have the bye week this week. But then the ultimate test, I think, and a winnable one. I would argue more winnable than the game against the Bucks.
Yeah.
I think that first of all, Damian Harris multiple times in that game, that awesome freaking football game in Buffalo. Damian Harris, their running back, he came up with what looked like a hamstring a couple times, so he was getting use, but he was also getting a little tight. And the weather, look, man, I'm a realist about things. Everything you do has impact on your body, psyche, physique. It affects things. I think that football game, and to sort of get away from the Colts Texans game from Sunday, because there's like so little to actually glean from that. That Bills Patriots game, I think it took a lot out of both teams. And I think that game's impact will be felt, that it will absolutely, obviously it had playoff implications. So like, even like talking like that is like the linchpin is stupid. But what I'm saying is, like, this is a war of attrition. And when it's 60 plus degrees outside or you're indoors and you're on turf and there's no wind and nobody misses kicks and every kickoff's great and every punt's a bomb and the ball goes where you want it to go, the quarterback's kept upright, the run game is intact, the receivers are catching the ball, the defense is putting the opposing offense in bad down and distance, getting the ball back to the offense regularly with decent to good field position and giving the offense time to score, right? So one of the things that you'll see moving forward is, it's not necessarily a lack of faith or a loss of faith, but that game will have, he's had a bad stretch, but Josh Allen's sort of struggle bust lately.
Yeah.
And when it lasts for more than like a month, we call that a trend. So I would be concerned about what will happen there. New England, on the other hand, I feel like this isn't their Super Bowl window. They obviously don't trust Mac Jones, man. Let's just say like three attempts, you don't trust him. Like, I don't care if you won. He only threw the ball 3 times. And you hurt your running back. So you aren't winning any of those arguments. And Bill Belichick will be lauded for that. Again, I would call that personnel mismanagement. And I also understand, like, weather was a factor, wind was a factor. Sure. The only reason that the Patriots, well, there were 3 specific plays that if it had gone another way, you lose. But for example, the deep shot on the left side to Diggs, that Diggs misjudged, totally a wide open touchdown. We're talking about this the other way, where Josh Allen had been struggling, but he actually did all the things that he needed to do to win here. And then it just so happens, and then what I was going to ultimately circle the wagon about, so for the record, sorry to go off the fucking rails. The The thing that I'm trying to get to is that even with a bye, the Patriots' trajectory in terms of difficulty, they have to play a game than us, right? Like they don't also have a bye than us. So they still have the additional attrition of that game plus what just happened. And then they have to play the Colts. And I think they got to come here, right? This is in Indy.
Yeah, it's in Lucasol, yeah.
I'm gonna try to go to this game. I don't know if Carson Wentz is the guy. I have a lot of questions about a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL.
I believe that what I believe is like these last 4 games are going to help paint a much clearer picture whether, about how confident I am in Wentz, like going forward.
Yeah.
Like if we bomb out and just miss the play of, he plays like shit, then will be like more hesitant. If he plays well, because as we already said before, the guy didn't have a proper training camp. He didn't have a proper preseason.
No.
He had to know just so.
But I mean, that's what we said the same thing about. We said the same thing about Jacoby, and obviously I believe that Carson Wentz is head and shoulders better than Jacoby Brissett. That's not what I'm bringing up. But I just wanted to point out, same thing happened to Jacoby. Didn't get a full preseason. I think the year that he got to start, from what I remember, Andrew Luck was on the mend and was still taking some of those reps. So although Jacoby did get the bulk of the reps and then the start. So again, I'm not saying it's a nothing burger. But what I'm saying is that Jacoby Brissett's start kind of sucked too. So I'll always keep that in my back pocket that, Jacoby didn't really get a full preseason either. It really wasn't his squad until late. And this is a momentum game. This is a motivation game. This is a mental game. And things like that matter, but only to people like us. Right. So, so the reason to sort of circle the wagons there is, I believe, based on what I saw, the Colts can test among the best of the NFL. And I don't think that's the question that the Colts needed to answer this year. So one of the things that we had been talking about is Chris Ballard saying at the beginning of the season, this is an evaluation season. The questions that remain for me is that against good, well-coached teams, is your defensive system going to work against teams that actually, because the answer just a couple weeks ago was fucking no. Is it going to work against good teams and good, well-coached teams? And then what happens when teams go out of their way to shut down young Jonathan Taylor? And I understand that Jared, he's gone like an ungodly streak of like 11 straight games with a touchdown that no one's done since LT. I know. What happens when the defense puts 8, 9 in the box, shuts them down early in that run game, and how Frank Reich gets a little pass happy when I would argue the quarterback's job is to be the run game coordinator because there isn't one. And when you have a quarterback that understands the assignment is to coordinate the run game, because the pass game in the NFL, I don't know if anybody's figured this out, the pass game's on crack. Like, man, the things the offensive coordinators are doing is asinine. Let's just say it. And when it comes to what's intriguing for me, like when I watch football now, it's the new and interesting ways teams run the ball is what I've enjoyed this year, obviously, right? I like what we're good at. Holy shit. But yeah, I've enjoyed. One of the things that I really like seeing is linemen running downfield. It's like, it's to me, it's like watching wild horses. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, yeah, man, nice stride. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd let that thing run in front of me. All right. You know what I mean? Like, it might actually move somebody out of the way. I like that clip they keep showing of Quentin Nelson. It's like that's why you pay. That's why you pay him so much money, man. Is it's the little things that add up. So obviously, like I said, like we've been saying here, Colts coming off an outstanding and much needed division win against a soft opponent that we really want to give too much credit to that. Coming into the bye week, relatively healthy. So again, this is about not doing anything stupid in our days off.
Yeah.
Keeping hydrated, stretched out, make sure that you're being active, because the thing that teams do is they sort of try to fuck with the off week schedules. I imagine with Frank Reich being named one of the top 5 most desirable NFL head coaches in the NFL, the Colts are going to be one of those teams that doesn't screw up the bye week. So again, I'm not like laying it on the Colts that they're gonna dick this up, but a lot of times what you see. So I'm setting you up, telling you what I've seen in the past, man. Teams will come out of the bye clean and come out flat against the game opponent, and then they get down early and they get in their head, and like I said, things start to spiral out of control. So as much as I believe, like, hey man, 2 weeks ago the Colts took the defending champ to the ropes and forced them to put real points on a fucking board. Anything over 35 points is game to me. And then last week, big road shutout against a cupcake I can't put a lot of faith in. And then this bye week, how you go through the bye week, come out the other side, and then how that game starts is what is super important. And I get it. Holy shit, Jared, it's like every week. And it's like, right, except there's a bye and people fuck it up. Like every year, teams, oh, this guy blew out his knee in practice. That's what I'm talking about. Like we not suffer when we're supposed to be laying or lying in wait, right? Is what the Colts are doing. Guys like T.Y. Hilton, you'd love to see him get some juice back. He's definitely in spirit. The ghost in spirit. In spirit, he's like fully invested in the squad. Again, another little video I saw this past week was how loud Ty is and how like chirpy he is. It's excellent. You have to have people like that because he draws attention, and the defense has to look at this loud parrot. Look at this little viper on the sideline, right? That like every time they put him in, it's like they got to get this, like that ball from Carson Wentz to Ty. I believe that was a comeback, or maybe it was a deep out. But I mean that ball from Carson to Ty, those are the only 2 people that could have possibly made that happen. And that's because of the sort of attention that Ty gains and the respect that he forces the corner to stay on top. Do not let Ty behind me. Do not let Ty behind me. So Ty gets to cut free. And when Ty gets to cut and he's got 2 or more yards on a dude because he totally does not have the foot speed. And like I said, if Ty, for example, if Darius Leonard hadn't said that Sunday was the first time he felt full speed, I'd also be saying like it'd be nice to see Darius Leonard, you know what I mean? But hell, he's been doing his damn thing. But yeah, obviously you get a little bit of time to lick your wounds. I think there's a chance here, and this is what we'll hope for in this bye week for me, is this offensive and defensive lines. I still am not happy with this pass rush. It's been better, man, but and worse. And then the offensive line play has been kind of right. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to.
No, he was just saying goodbye. He's going up to that.
Going off to he's going to bed. I thought he said he was going after that, and I was like, well, what's he going after?
No, he's going off to bed now. He just wanted to say goodbye. He wants to like bother.
So Colts going into the bye, just need to stay healthy, and then need to come out. It's going to be hard to obviously go through a bye week and come out and not be flat, and it's just, you've just seen it so many times before. It's hard not to like bring it up. That's what I'll be watching for, is how does that game start? because the Patriots are well coached, where one of the things that
Yeah.
we've seen the Colts give up is like a double-digit lead. I think you brought that up earlier. They're like, they've given up like multiple double-digit leads so far. The Patriots aren't the kind of team that does that shit. So
Yeah.
if you turn the rock over, you give them points, you give them a lead. You know, one of the things that the Colts don't do, that teams like a Bill Belichick coach Patriots team do, is the Colts don't double people up. You know what I mean? Where you're getting the ball coming out second half and you've got the ball going into halftime and you need to go down and score, and then you need to come out and score. That's doubling up on you scored twice. They didn't get an opportunity. We need shit like that to happen for you to beat a team like the Patriots, who will absolutely play. And again, what I'm already stating is going to be like a hugely impactful game that could have an impact on the rest of the season. And I have a feeling that it buoys the Patriots. So I think the Patriots are game. I don't think that they're the best team in the AFC. I certainly believe they're beatable. And then I think it's going to hurt the Bills. So I think it further hurts the Bills and they sort of fall off. We were also kind of talking about what we needed to happen for the Colts to make the playoffs. So when you look at our conference, our playoffs, right now, the Colts are the 9 seed at 7-6 behind the Steelers, Bills, Bengals, and Chargers. And what I look at is teams that'll stay and teams that are going away. So I think the Colts, I think the Steelers and Bills and Bengals are all gonna sort of fall off here. I believe in the Colts, Avi, as like the 6th seed here, and I think one of them will play for the remainder. But yeah, I like the Chargers, Chiefs, Ravens, Patriots, and I don't know. I'm still up in the air on the Titans. I don't know if they're worth a shit. It's hard when they're not at full strength to judge them, and their receivers are I believe their number 2 receiver. I mean, Julio Jones on IR for the rest of the year, right? And Derrick Henry's out, right? They're and Taylor Lewan's out, right? So like they're greatness on
AJ
offense.
Brown has missed the last couple games.
Yeah. Also, goddamn, like really hurt. But it's the call sign of a great coach is someone who can win despite the personnel, right?
Yeah.
And I think even after, and I could be wrong. I'm gonna go check myself because I was gonna say I think the Titans were like 2-1 without him, so it's not like no, they've lost 2 in a row. Oh shit, they lost to. I didn't realize Tennessee lost to the Texans. That sort of changed what I think a little. So obviously, when you're losing Derrick Henry, they just lost to the Texans 2 weeks ago. Holy shit, dude, how did I miss that?
No, bad.
Yeah, that's bad. So maybe they fall, and maybe the Colts do win their division. Holy shit, that would be so weird, especially like because the way the season's gone so far, and the way people have talked about like, oh, this is evaluation here, just throw it up and see what happens, you know. And many of the people that I care about still talk about benching Carson Wentz and should have done that a long time ago. And I think I figured out my official position on that. If you're agreeing to pay that price for him, you're never fucking sitting him unless he's injured. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know what we were thinking. You're not paying that price for him, and then he's going to stand on the fucking sideline. Your fans would have revolted. People would have just got up and left. Who wants to watch you have a problem with who's going to be your backup? You had to give Easton the ball and let him fucking give it to somebody else, give it to the other team before you realize like he's a statue. Get him out of there. And then you went back and got Ellinger, who, for the record, your QB guru. I told you, Ellinger. I told you in the preseason, he actually is athletic enough and smart enough to get himself out of harm's way. And if he can just focus on getting his eyes downfield and making a play downfield instead of feeling like he has to do it with his legs every time, he could actually play football in the NFL, but it's really fucking hard. Quarterback is very difficult to play. And you've kind of got to have a style that you've just kind of decided. And ultimately, if you really do watch QB play like I watch QB play, great quarterbacks have a style. This is just kind of how they do it, and it works. You know what I mean? And of course, when I'm thinking about greatness, one of the things that I need to see from Carson Wentz is him throw on the run accurately, and he's throwing from a good base in the pocket and throwing pretty accurately, but on the run, he has a tendency to be errant. And again, I'm gonna pound the table and say like that's why he didn't play Division I football. It's like a really good athlete and a really good size, but not very accurate. And it's probably because his high school football coaches were like, "Holy shit, he's a monster, bro! Let's just run quarterback power all day." Like, holy shit,
Yeah.
right? 6'5", 250 pounds, runs a 4.5 40. Who's taking him down, right? That's why. So he was running a lot in high school, I'm guessing. And then you watch him play in the NFL, and you're like, yeah, when he was younger, I bet you he averaged 15 carries a game because he would roll out and realize nobody's within a million miles of him. All the defenders are downfield on his receivers. Fuck, I'm just gonna run for like 20 yards. Nobody's anywhere near me, right? So that will be it'll be fun to see if the Colts can actually overcome their nemesis, right? So they do get 2 long weeks to prepare for the franchise nemesis. And as much as people want to say it's your division opponents, it's not. It's the Patriots are the boogeyman. Whatever moniker you want to put on them. As long as Bill Belichick's coaching that Patriots team, they're a team that requires the level of attention they're going to get for the next 2 weeks from the Colts. And I'm confident. I lied. I'm not entirely confident that the Colts will come out and like stay in this game or win it.
Yeah.
Because I still think guys like Carson Wentz are beatable. And again, I've said this, he's the kind of player and athlete that could absolutely be like a top tier quarterback, a top 8, top 6 guy. But he'll play himself into like a top 12, 15-ish area, which again is still a little bit of a market improvement from Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers' average was about like 17th, 18th, or 19th best quarterback in the NFL last year, and it got the Colts to the playoffs. So again, I believe that you do purchase a few games. You just didn't get those few games this year. And I think that, as long as Carson Wentz is protected, and as long as the offense continues to improve, and specifically its weapons, because I have a feeling that there's going to be some long-term loss after this season. I have a feeling that like guys like Jack Doyle, T.Y. Hilton, they're getting up there.
Yeah.
And guys like Mo Alley Cox, who everybody loves. I'm absolutely not talking shit about the guy, but he hasn't quite stepped in and filled the role like I thought he would. He's more of like a specialty player. You know what I mean? Like the dream kind of guy where we're in this specific spot where we have to take a shot. We might as well fucking do it with our giant ass tight end, flex him out as a wide receiver, put him on a small corner and see if we could just throw it up top to him. Hasn't been like a staple in our offense. So that gives me concern for like after the season. But as far as so far this year, they've certainly turned the boat around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was definitely, it didn't feel like if you'd have asked me after that 0-3 start, if I felt like the Colts, first of all, would have had any shot in hell of ever getting back to 500. And then also would be thinking about you could beat the Patriots after your bye week, be definitely in the playoff and still division race. And again, if the Colts can stay healthy, it really feels like outside of a couple teams they won't see until the playoffs, Chiefs, Ravens, and then, like I said, just got to beat the Patriots. I think if you can beat the Patriots, then I don't care so much about the Cardinals game, because again, that's not going to keep us from going to the playoffs. It's a non-conference game. So I get it that I'm not at all okay with losing. That's not what I'm trying to iterate. What I'm saying is like I super give a fuck about our position in the playoffs in the AFC. I super do not care about our non-conference record. Right. I get it that it feeds the argument that like Frank Reich can't win against good teams. But I'd also argue if that's a non-division, non-conference opponent, I'd rather just keep my team intact until the next week and win the games that matter. But also, I'd argue that the Colts failed to fucking do that shit too. So,
Oh yeah.
and then you got anything else? I kind of have a bomb to drop.
Well, yeah, say it.
So, I would have been really nervous in the last couple of years since COVID hit. Obviously, amidst first of all a lack of panic, and then also people not taking COVID seriously have forced me, as a logical human being who refuses to die from a communicable disease. I decided I'm getting a job working from home, and I'm going to try to sit this shit out, and
Yeah.
basically had to use my personal connections to get an opportunity to work from home. And for the last since basically the middle of October, I've been working like 6-7 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day, because I help the elderly with their health care. And it's an annual enrollment period. Medicare, for the record, is what that's called in the United States. Care for the elderly, and then Medicaid is for the needy. In the United
Yeah.
States, when you age into Medicare around 65-ish, basically you buy Medicare Part A and B, and it only covers you when you go to the hospital. So there are other things that are going to happen before you go to the hospital that you're going
Yeah.
to still need insurance for. And that's what I help the elderly with. Well, when you talk to people all day long, you're going to meet former football players, former coaches, and I won't name names because that's fucking illegal. But
Yeah.
I haven't met anyone. I mean, just think of like an elderly human being that played football. Just, man, insert that person. So I've met some people, and kind of shot the shit with them. And then I work with and got the opportunity to talk to today a couple guys I work with at eHealth here in Indianapolis. They're out of Gold River, California. Awesome place to work, by the way. And they're going to start hiring again, and they'll hire you to work remotely if you're looking. Gave me an opportunity, and I did really well. So that was sort of what I wanted to do. Is amidst this horrible shit, I wanted to find some stability. And then once I
Yeah.
found some stability, I want to take the next step in life. Like, who the fuck does not want to like do the next game of life type shit, right? So
Yeah.
I realized what I want to do. I love football, man. And whether it's podcast, writing about, one of the things I like that I do is I write a weekly gambling article, and I always start that shit off by saying, hey, if you don't got it, don't bet it. Like, if this is something that's going to be harmful to you or the people that you care about, don't do this shit. And if you need help, call this number, right? Instead of just like barreling into, let's be degenerate gamblers together. It's like, hey, be fucking responsible. And then, hey, here's my recommendation, right? And then I actually try to not give you garbage. I try to give you, if I was gonna bet on this shit, I'd bet it like this. And we've hit at a high rate. And the reason I believe that is because I have like a good understanding of both personnel, and then can lay an expected outcome and be pretty accurate with what happens as a result, without actually having a hand in it. And so I understand, to like most people that have tuned me out already, they're going to be like, he's using big words and you're confusing me. But what I'm really saying is I'm at a crossroads in my life, Mateo, where I can continue down the path I'm on, which is just I do this work from home job. I help
Yeah.
the elderly with their Medicare. I could make 6 figures a year doing this shit. I could pay my mortgage off in the next 5 years. I'll be out of debt with my investor in the next year or two. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be just fine. But I don't think that doing it that way gets me any closer to my dream job. And I want to be an NFL, NBA head coach, and I would do the shit at the same time, because I'm not a person that gets stressed out by a challenge. I'm a person that gets motivated by a challenge. So
Yeah.
I was kind of being a dumbass with my computer today, and I showed one of my coworkers my treadmill that sits about 4 feet in front of me at work every day, and I'm fat. and he made an offhand joke about how you're going to sit 2 feet from a treadmill and be a chubby. You know what I mean? And I was in the Marine Corps infantry, and my dad talked to me like that when I was a child, and it motivated me, and it made me like not want to be fat, and it made me want to like be an athlete and then work out and do well. I'm also the kind of person, I don't like to do shit for no reason. So I get bored. If there's no end game, if there's no purpose here, my time's
Yeah.
probably better spent doing some other shit that has a potential to make me money. Well, here's the impasse that I'm at, and here's the decision that I've made. There's not a chance in hell that I'm enrolling in college only, for the record, enrolling in college only, going back to school to become a fucking teacher, to become a high school football or basketball coach, and then having to take out another loan to get a master's degree so that I can coach at the next level. By the time I'm motherfucking 50, I might be able to do that. And that's 12 years from now. And I just get a
Yeah.
pit in my stomach when I think about, first of all, paying for that. And it's not that I couldn't. I'm such a privileged human being and so confident in myself that I know that I could do it that way. But this game is now run by young people, and you need people like me with an attitude like me in it. And I don't know how else to get into this game, because the problem that I have is I sit on a Zoom call all day at work, right? Soldiers to Sidelines, the program for veterans that aims to put veterans on NFL sidelines, exists almost entirely on Zoom. I can't do it, man. I've participated a couple times, and you sit there and you listen to people talk. And like I was telling you before we started this podcast, I listened to Nick Saban say at the end of year post conference last year that he felt like he should have been fired and that his game wasn't progressing fast enough. And it inspired me to get into coaching. And then I did it. And then guys that I coached have gotten opportunities to play at the next level. And I feel like I'm either in a point where I need to invest, get an education, become a coach, because I've shown, one, I love the shit. It's all I've ever wanted to do since 3rd grade, is strap the fuck up and hit somebody, right? And then getting other people excited about doing that shit. I get a good feeling off that. So why the fuck would I want to do that? Well, the problem is, when I was sort of investing myself into the coaching, I realized how teams that, first of all, there's all the good quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's just like throw that out there. Every now and then there will be a pro-ready college quarterback, and you'll have the joy of teams not knowing what the fuck to do against that. And so he just gets to do whatever he wants. That's not, I mean, Bryce Young's pretty good, the quarterback from Alabama, but I think he's small-ish, and ultimately he's going to get whacked. And I think it'll have a negative impact on his career. I would feel the same way about him as I did Tagovailoa. Love him. Tua is great. Little smallish for me. I need a little more broad shoulder.
Yeah.
But what I've realized after coaching and scouting quarterbacks and playing quarterback, and not in high school, for the record. So I don't want to give the impression, for the record, that I'm like some old high school quarterback trying to relive his glory days, because that is not the fucking case. I have played football since I was in 3rd grade, and I've played all over that fucking field. I've played middle linebacker, I've played defensive end, tight end, I've played quarterback, I've punted, I've kicked off. Okay. My senior year of high school was the first time I ever got to play and start as a high school football player, and we won 10 games. So I can directly correlate my involvement with a football team on the field has a positive impact on that outcome. And many years later, right, I'm now 38 years old, pushing 40, right? I have a membership to the Y. There's a football field about 2 miles from my house, near Fort Bend on the east side of Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm going to get on this treadmill right behind my computer, and I'm going to lose about 60 pounds. And I know it's going to take very long. I'm going to lose the weight really quick. And I know what's ahead of me. I know what comes with me saying, like, I want to play quarterback, and it's kind of something I want to do until my body gives up. And I know that's what's ahead of me. So pain and that end, I know what's ahead of me. But I know that it's going to be, and I know that it needs to be a lot of work. It needs to be something that I share. This needs to be a call out, and me saying, hey, if you live or love football, but if you live in the Indianapolis, Midwest, part of the United States. I recently got done coaching the Indiana Cutters that played in the Battleground Football League, and I kind of think that shit fell apart. So I haven't really spoken to anybody with that org, save for a couple players that I've become really good friends with. But I'm going to name some names. So the center from that team, his name is Seth Mackin. He's from the south side of Indianapolis. Played professionally, is a really good guy. He's a singer, country singer. He told me he's not done. And I don't know about you, but the center and the quarterback are the two most important positions on a football field. And if those two people are in sync, your offense is going to be just fine, as long as those two people understand what's going on. I think obviously there are other things that are important too, but your center quarterback exchange has to be perfect, right? So when he's your really good friend and he says, hey, you know, I'm getting up there over 30, you know, he's a little older, and he says, I think I want to keep playing. And our quarterback, Sidney Moore, got an opportunity to play indoor football in Washington State. So I don't know if he'll be here. I think his season runs to the end of June. But what if he gets hurt? There are a lot of guys that were part of the Cutters that I don't know if you're homeless. You know, I don't know if you've got a team. I don't know what's going on with this league. I haven't seen anything, heard anything. I'm not the kind of person to ask someone to be a leader. Right? So I'm not stepping on someone's toes. I'm taking charge, because that's what Marines are supposed to do. 1, 2, I need something that I can work for that is a tangible, achievable, reasonable goal, and know that 6 months to 9 months down the road, I need to be ready to play when and if the opportunity presents itself, whether that's semi-pro. I didn't play in college, so I've got eligibility, and I'm totally kidding. I sincerely doubt any college football program worth its weight in salt is going to give like a 38-year-old quarterback scholarship, but dumber shit's happened. So why the fuck not? I'm going to train as a quarterback, and I'm going to document it. And I wanted to announce it on my podcast, on the toes of the new Kurt Warner movie that's coming out. And Kurt Warner and I don't have a ton in common, other than he was sort of like the guy that came into the NFL the sort of abnormal way. He's not a guy that played in college, got drafted in the first round, was a star from the time he was 22. That's not how his career went. He didn't come into the league until he was over the age of 33, 34, I think. And then he didn't play that many years. I'm not trying to play in the NFL. If I was to be crazy, I would say something like I'm trying to play in the NFL. What is completely tangible is that I can demonstrate using technology, proclivity, the ability to quarterback. I have friends that are skill position players that would love the work, that I'd love to demonstrate my ability. And it's because I believe that, as opposed to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars I don't have on an education that I don't know that I'll be a great coach, I think that if you put in the work as a, if you just do it, Nike, right? Like Nike, if you just do it, I think that the opportunity will present itself. This isn't me stepping down from coaching. This is me saying the path is, I don't like the other way, so I'm gonna do it the hard way. And I'm asking, if you see this, obviously I'd hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be cool. If you follow me on Twitter, as I sort of, I'm fat and disgusting, so you won't see body shots or anything for a while. But I take pride in the work that I put in and expect results, even though I'm a little older, right? I expect to do my research, to work out the right way, to take care of my body, and ultimately to put myself out there to Indianapolis. Like I said, I just played in an entire football season or coached an entire football season in semi-pro, and the league fell apart. So we need to get everyone together and say, like, hey, do we still have enough people for a team? Do we have enough people for an entire league? And the biggest question mark with these teams, for the record, because I know you're just like, how awful is semi-pro? It's fucking terrible. The officiating's god awful. The team I was on last year was super talented, and it wasn't the quarterback's fault that they didn't win the whole thing. So what I'm sort of putting myself out there and saying, like, I'm going to put in the work as a quarterback. I'm willing to meet up. If you live in the Indianapolis area and you want to get it in, I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to put this video, out there to among the communities here that I'm a part of. And I feel like, again, like I said, the only expectation here is I'm getting in better shape and I'm doing something that I love in the process. And then I'm going to involve the people that I care about too. And the whole objective is to demonstrate the ability to not only do it yourself, but I've also coached others. They've got opportunities, right? They can vouch for what I'm capable of. And then if I can fucking show it to you that I can do this, and then the style of offense that I will run, I think people will be drawn to. I mean, like, it's like I was showing to you. I'm not blowing sunshine, right? Like, I'm not some kid living in an apartment eating ramen now. I'm a homeowner. And for the first time, as a result of a recent job opportunity, I'm like financially secure enough that I feel like I could actually go to the gym and not feel like a total idiot if something dumb were to happen, right? So like I said, my wife, who I love, had bought me a Microsoft Surface, so I can coach, I can play. I want to demonstrate my love of football to the world, and I wanted to announce it with you because I think this podcast is a great great platform, right? To say, like, I feel like football's got room to grow, and it starts with players and coaches. It starts with the people that love the game. And if you really love this game, then I'm for real about it. Like, I'm really saying, like, come fuck with me, come play. There's people that I know they still go to the gym, they still are really good athletes, however old you are. Look, I'm 38, bro. Well, I had a guy on our team that played tight end that was 62 years old. He's a gym owner from Bloomington, Indiana, and he put people on their ass. Guys that like just played college football, and he wasn't that like big and like massive. He's just a football player, man. So I get it. It sounds really crazy. You can get hurt, dude. I'm hurting anyway. 2 of the last 7 days I woke up with a leg cramp. You know what I mean? I'm hurting anyway. Why not just get on that fucking treadmill, lose some weight, get myself in better shape? And then obviously I get it. The onus is to like not die. Holy shit. But you're gonna die anyway. You gonna hurt anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, might as well, yeah.
And then we were kind of talking about, and like I said, it's the undertaking mostly is it's just personal. I'm not trying to make money. That's not. I'd love to get like a paid position coaching, and that's like an ultimate goal. But I feel like if you put in the work, you get an opportunity, you demonstrate that your ability, you get another opportunity, and eventually you get like the right kind of opportunity, gets you the right kind of exposure, or maybe it gets you paid, right? Or maybe it gets you a different job, right? That leads you to being able to comfortably borrow, right? And go get that education to become a coach, right? Instead of just borrow the money and go, right? Which I feel like a lot of people would do in my spot. I feel like a lot of people would just be like, nah, like borrow $250,000, make it happen. And I think where I'm at financially sort of stable, that's probably not a good spot, like to fuck myself over again, right? For something that's again years away, right? When it's like, well, you're stable now. If I get hurt playing football, I have insurance and I'm a disabled vet, so I could just go to the VA. But like ultimately, there's less downside here. Pain is inevitable, right? It's all work. You were gonna work either way, right? Like yeah, I think that's what I want to kind of to get out. I'm willing to fuck my body up. What's up?
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like I feel like I'll feel like that for a while. Like this isn't a fleeting feeling. It's kind of something I pace around my house and think about sometimes where I'm like, let's just get on the treadmill. I should just put in the work, right? But like I said, it's one thing to just put your head down and do and work, and that's what I do. I do just put my head down and work. So this is sort of the first time I've ever lifted my head up and said, hey, I'm gonna kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit. I'd ask anybody to, if you love football. We bitch all the time about officiating, Mateo. I think if anything, get off your couch. Let's get in shape together, and God damn it, become an official. You know, if you don't have the, if you don't feel
Yeah,
like
might
you
as
could
well.
play, if you don't feel like you could play padded football, what's the worst you could do? Try to be Ed Hockley. You know what I mean? Like he was really good at his job. He looked good in uniform. He was successful in other areas of his life without being a prick. And he made the game better. And since all the, you know, all the great refs took jobs with these networks and for the record are absolutely doing the right thing for them, it has sullied the game a little bit, I think. And I've seen it at other levels outside of the NFL. The college game, for the record, is still pure in my eyes. It's not nearly as poorly officiated as the NFL. And then again, like I said, not nearly as poorly officiated as semi-pro was. And that's more personal because it was the same groups of officials like every game he played. So it was like a whole 8 people that fucked up an entire semi-pro season for a lot of people because they were just ass. But it's saying shit like that where it's like, hey, we could let semi-pro football die in Indianapolis a little bit more. Or, hey man, I get it. I'm some privileged fucking white boy. And I got other friends, Pat Wood, that played for the St. Louis Rams, that played quarterback in college, that lives in Zionsville. He's wanting to work out. So I got a couple live arms. We need some skill players. We need offensive and defensive linemen. You know, the guys that I'm buddies with are a lot of really good defensive players, right? We're gonna need offensive line. We need depth. You know, we frequently traveled piss poor, and I'm willing to invest whatever it takes. And like I said, now that financially I'm a little better off here, I could actually invest. So I don't have to just go run back to the team that I was with either. And I have no intentions in doing that. I have absolutely every intention of saying like what we did here late, I'm not with, and I wanna kind of do it this way, and I want to bring a bunch of people together and sort of like naturally evaluate your talent and kind of figure it out, and then say, all right, so I have a group of about 50 guys that want to play football. Does anybody want to talk? Like we're gonna need a home field. We're gonna need sponsors. We're gonna need uniforms. And like I said, we keep doing the same old shit we've been doing, or we could do it differently. I'm doing it differently. Fuck with me one time. So we're gonna do it that way. And this is no disrespect to anybody. I ain't stepping on no one's toes. If we're not nose to nose, I don't owe you shit. If you ain't calling me, contact me, message me, ask me how I'm doing, keeping up with my life, what I owe you. I don't owe you anything. You know what I mean? Loyalty goes both ways, right? So I'm absolutely correct to say like, hey, I got a couple choices here, right? I could come crawling back to the people I was with, even though I feel like the way that they've handled this offseason's poor, right? I could invest a couple $100,000 to go get an education, or I could say, I'm gonna fucking play quarterback. We need to keep semi-pro football alive in the city. And the only way to do that is to say, hey, this is where the fuck I'm gonna be. I'll bring the balls, I'll bring the cones, I'll be the coach, I'll be the quarterback, I'll do it all, right? I'll set this shit up. I've got guys waiting to play. We'll do it in the fucking snow. I give a shit. And hopefully that excites some people, man. Because I know you were kind of joking around about I'll come play safety. That's how I really feel, man. If you do it the right way and you show people that you're willing to put in the work, they'll come. You know, it's that field of dreams type shit, right? If you build it, they'll come. But I'm 100% saying like it takes a great quarterback. If you don't have that, you're not going to have the buy-in that you need at this level, right? Where all the really good players that are really dedicated, they're playing. You don't have to worry about them. It's the guys that, I haven't talked to in a while, that again, I don't have any ill will. I love everyone that was involved with the Indiana Cutters. I have nothing, no problem. I just I'm a man of action. I'm not the kind of person to just like shut shit down, ignore it, and then try to come back to it like I never left it. I don't do that. I'm either a 0 or 100 person, and I'm still 100% into football. And this is the direction we're going to go. And obviously, hopefully, we'll still keep doing our weekly podcast. We might
Yeah,
take the week off next week because it is the bye. We might do
yeah,
sort of
we have the bye week. Yeah,
I might do
no
like
game
a
to talk about. Yeah,
we might do a preview episode. I don't know. It might be good.
yeah, preview of the Pats game. If we get some news there. Yeah,
Maybe we could have a good conversation about how this upcoming weekend's games impacts the Colts. And again, the only thing
yeah,
that can happen is
yeah. We have like
a
yeah,
couple of teams ahead of the Colts are going to lose, right? So
yeah.
there's gonna be some
Bengals,
movement. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to
yeah,
drop.
something's gonna happen. Yeah,
Nobody's passing the Colts, so the Colts really, even in their bye week, are going to gain on somebody. It's probable, highly probable. So probably not a lot to talk about, but maybe there's a big ass upset, and it's like, oh, well now it's still kind of fucking wide open, I
yeah, it's
guess. Like,
kind of interesting. Yeah,
so yeah, if it's interesting, we'll talk about it. If not, we are setting
if
ourselves up to
nothing
say
happens, yeah, we'll
we
just
might take the week off, and yeah, I think that's what I wanted to get in. So yeah, I appreciate your time, my man, and let me kind of unload.
yeah, man, sure. It's been fun.
Yeah, I always enjoy our podcast. Anytime we get to sit down and chat, obviously love talking to you before it started. We always joke right before we start recording. We should have just recorded that, like just because we
Yeah,
were just
it'll
chatting.
be funny. Yeah,
And maybe I'll get smart and start doing that shit instead of we sit and bullshit for an hour and then decide to record, right? So yeah, this has been my name is Jared Malott. You can find me and you can find Mateo's work. I actually realized how you are a pretty prolific writer, my friend. So he actually writes pretty regularly at Stampede Blue. And
yeah,
then
7 per week. Yeah,
every basically an article a day, right?
yeah, basically. Yeah,
He's basically the rock, the foundation for Stampede Blue in terms of production, where my lazy ass puts out a couple video, podcast, article, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing compared to what you do, man. But yeah, I am sort of stepping up and saying like I've got access to these things. I should just be using. It can only better me as a person, and I want to use that sort of work to invest my body and my time into something that I see as waning, which is the sort of local football sort of, what happened, let me say it like this to close. One of the things that I've seen very quickly is guys that play semi-pro, they're getting college scholarships. They're getting contracts to go play arena ball. They're getting offers to play Canadian Football League. Now I get it. I did not say the NFL, and I understand if you're in the United States, you're just like, if it ain't the NFL, bro. But if you love this game, you just want to play football, man. So that's how kind of I feel. I just want to play. I've thrown several times and just never had the arm pain. And again, I know it's on the other side of saying that, right? Is pain. But like I said, I've come to accept it. Like I said, frequently men run from death. Very infrequently do people turn to face death and say, what if I can just knock him on his ass? One time. Maybe I can beat death. And I know I ain't winning. I know I'm gonna go out crying just like everybody else. But like I said, this is the start of that. So this has been the LaVon Brazill remembrance episode, and I appreciate that
yeah,
you remembered specifically that the kind of game he had.
yeah. Those two players. Yeah,
That was really cool that you remembered that, man. So have a great week, everybody. And again, it's kind
yeah,
of feels good as a Colts fan to get this bye week so late, right? Have a good week, everybody.